There is a certain kind of quiet that exists in the English countryside, a stillness that feels less like peace and more like a held breath. It is this atmosphere that greets Stella Etheridge when she arrives at the home of her uncle, James Etheridge. Stella isn't just a traveller, she is an orphan running away from the suffocating constraints of a restrictive school in Italy, seeking nothing more than a place where she can simply exist without being watched or judged. Her uncle, a reclusive painter, provides a sanctuary of sorts, but the peace Stella seeks is short-lived. Her arrival coincides with the presence of the Wyndward family, the local aristocracy who hold sway over the surrounding lands. It is during this period of transition that Stella's life is irrevocably changed. She has a chance encounter with Leycester Wyndward, the heir to Wyndward Hall. Leycester is a man of high status but low impulse control, reckless, passionate, and driven by a sense of freedom that contrasts sharply with Stella's guarded nature. They meet under the light of the moon, a classic, almost cinematic moment that sparks an immediate and intense connection between them. For Stella, who has spent so much of her life fleeing from control, Leycester represents a wild, dangerous kind of life. For Leycester, Stella is a revelation, a woman who exists outside the polished, predictable circles of his social world. However, in the world of the Wyndwards, passion is a secondary concern to propriety. The Earl and Countess Wyndward are less interested in their son's sudden infatuation and more concerned with his reputation and the necessity of a stable, advantageous marriage. To ensure this stability, they invite Lady Lenore Beauchamp to the estate. Lenore is everything the aristocracy demands, beautiful, formidable, and socially impeccable. But beneath that polished surface lies a woman with her own desperate motivations. She has a secret passion for Leicester, and she has no intention of letting a girl like Stella, whose only claim to status is being the niece of a painter, stand in her way. As Stella and Leicester's romance deepens, the social barriers between them begin to feel like physical walls. They move from the raw, private passion of moonlit encounters to the terrifying reality of what their union would mean for their respective positions. This is where the story shifts from a simple romance into a much darker web of manipulation. Enter Jasper Addlestone, a calculating lawyer who becomes obsessed with Stella. Jasper doesn't see a woman to love, he sees a prize to be won, a component of a social landscape he intends to master. Jasper's arrival sets off a chain reaction of deception. He forms a dangerous, unspoken pact with Lady Lenore. It is a marriage of convenience between two predators. Lenore wants Leicester, and Jasper wants Stella. They agree to work together to sabotage the lovers, using the tools of social leverage and legal manipulation to tear them apart. The weapon of choice in this war is forgery. Through a series of lies and manufactured documents, they begin to tighten the noose around Stella's life. The tension reaches a breaking point when Jasper discovers a secret that could destroy Stella's family. Her cousin, Frank Etheridge, a sensitive young man who has always been under Stella's protection, has committed a crime of forgery. Jasper uses this mistake as a lever, blackmailing Stella. He presents her with a devastating choice: marry him and secure her family's social standing and her uncle's reputation, or face the ruin of everyone she loves. Stella's decision is made with a selflessness that is both noble and tragic. To protect Frank from prison and to keep her uncle from the shame of scandal, she agrees to a marriage of convenience with Jasper. It is a profound sacrifice, one that leaves Leicester broken and bewildered. He watches as the woman he loves enters into a union that is essentially a prison, all while the social machinery of the village continues to turn, oblivious to the agony beneath the surface. The climax of this struggle takes place in the village of Caerleon, on the edge of the cliffs. It is a setting that mirrors the precariousness of the characters' lives, a narrow ledge between respectability and total ruin. On the eve of Stella's wedding, a final violent confrontation erupts between Jasper, Frank, and Leicester. They find themselves on the precipice, struggling over a forged document that holds the power to expose the web of lies. In the chaos of the struggle, tragedy strikes. Both Jasper and Frank fall from the cliffs. Jasper, the architect of so much misery, meets his end in the fall, while Leicester manages to pull a dying Frank from the waters below. In those final moments, as Frank lies dying, he offers a confession that breaks the spell Jasper held over Stella. He admits that he committed the forgery in a misguided attempt to protect her, effectively revealing that the blackmail was a trap built on a foundation of misguided love and greed. The truth begins to leak out, but the damage is already done. As the dust settles, The reality of the aftermath is far from a fairy tale ending. The conspiracy is exposed, and Leycester learns of Lady Lenore's complicity. He discovers that her attempts to secure him through social maneuvering and manipulation were not just ambitious, but actively destructive. Lenore, ever the socialite, attempts to maintain her facade of perfection, even as she prepares for a marriage to Leycester, a union born of strategic necessity rather than the passion she once claimed to feel. The story ends on a note of profound irony. The social structures that the characters fought so hard to uphold, the marriages of duty, the preservation of family honor, the maintenance of class lines, remain intact, but the people within them are left adrift. Leycester is haunted by the memory of what was lost, and Stella is left to navigate a world where the lines between honor and deception have been irrevocably blurred. When we look back at the story, it's easy to see it as a melodrama, but there is a deeper critique at work here. Charles Garvice seems to be exploring the heavy, often crushing cost of honor. For Stella, honor isn't a virtue that brings peace, it is a weapon used against her. Her attempt to preserve her family's standing leads to her own personal imprisonment. The novel suggests that the very social codes meant to provide stability actually create the conditions for tragedy. There is also a recurring theme of appearance versus reality. Throughout the book, characters like Lenore and Jasper present a polished, acceptable face to the world while harboring destructive truths. The respectable members of society are often the ones most deeply involved in the darkness of forgery and blackmail. The social facade is a mask that hides the true, messy, and often violent nature of human desire. The setting of the cliffs at Carleon serves as a powerful metaphor for this entire struggle. The characters are constantly living on the edge of scandal, on the edge of social ruin. The precipice isn't just a physical location, it's a state of being. One wrong move, one forged document, or one moment of impulsive passion, and the descent is inevitable. Ultimately, Only a Girl's Love is a study of how marriage is used as a tool of power. In this world, marriage isn't just about two people finding each other. It's a strategic instrument used to secure financial stability, political leverage, and social standing. When passion clashes with these strategic needs, the result is rarely a happy ending. Instead, we are left with the image of survivors walking through a landscape of broken promises, trying to find their way in a world where the rules of engagement have been rewritten by greed and desperation. It is a story that asks what we are willing to lose in the pursuit of staying respectable, and whether the cost of that respect is ever truly worth paying.